somewhere between love and madness. A husband begins to fear the woman he married. This is a true descent into terror. A story about peeking, smiling, and the horror of watching someone you love become something else. My wife Lynn and I had been together for 6 years, married just 11 months. If you had asked me back then, I would have said she was the most normal, grounded person I'd ever known. Lynn wasn't into horror movies. She didn't laugh at pranks. She didn't even like scary stories. That was what made all of this so strange. Because lately, she'd been acting different. It started 2 months ago. I was getting ready for work, coffee in one hand, keys in the other, rushing out like always. I looked toward the hallway and there she was, just her eyes peeking out from around the corner. Not saying a word, not moving. A single long strand of hair hung across the wall, like a warning. Startled, I called her name. "Lynn?" I forced a laugh. "You startled me." In an instant, she darted away. I heard her bare feet patter into the living room. By the time I stepped out of the hallway, she was gone, vanished. Later, when I asked her about it, she just laughed, said I must have imagined it. She looked so amused, so normal, that I let it go. But that was only the beginning. The second time it happened, it was around 2 in the morning. I got up for water, still half asleep, kitchen light flickering above. And then, that feeling. The kind you can't name, like someone's watching you. I looked down. Her face was there. Not fully visible, just the eyes, peeking from behind the kitchen island. Eyes wide, mouth pulled into a strange smile that didn't quite reach her cheeks. I gasped. She didn't flinch. She crawled away, fast, like a spider skittering on all fours. She disappeared into the hallway. No words, no laughter, just that smile and silence. I ran upstairs. She was in bed, sleeping, or pretending to. I couldn't sleep that night. Days passed. I told myself I'd imagined it. Stress, a waking dream. But then I found her inside the old wooden trunk at the foot of our bed. It was mid-morning. I went to put away some blankets. When I opened the lid, there she was, curled up, smiling. Her body stiff, her eyes too wide. "Lynn," I whispered. She didn't speak. She just slowly, deliberately, closed the lid. I stared at the trunk for several seconds, breath caught in my throat. And that was it. I walked out of the room, disturbed. This isn't funny anymore. A week later, we were watching a show together. She laughed at the show, ate popcorn, wore her favorite hoodie. I said, "Haven't seen you peeking at me lately. Finally gave up on the spy game?" She smiled at me, soft and amused. "Maybe I've just gotten better at it," she said. I didn't know if she was joking. That was the worst part. A few nights later, she left to hang out with a friend. I stayed in, played some games, took a shower around 9. As I rinsed the shampoo out of my hair, that feeling hit me again. I opened my eyes. Her face was pressed against the glass. Mouth open, eyes unblinking. Hair stuck to her forehead like wet rope. I screamed. She pulled away, disappearing into the hallway. I jumped out, slipped, locked the bathroom door. I sat there for an hour, breathing into my hands. Then, a noise. A low, trembling sound. I leaned forward, ear against the wood. "Lynn?" Silence. I crouched and peered under the door. The hallway was empty. I opened the door, slowly, but then I heard it. A rustle, a groan. I turned my head toward the closet. Her face stared at me from the crack between the doors, shaking, trembling with excitement. I ran. I left the house, drove until dawn. I stayed with my brother for a few days, trying to make sense of it all, but I couldn't sleep. I kept waking up before dawn with that same terrible feeling. One morning I rolled over, and she was at the window, watching me, her nose pressed against the glass, her mouth open, drool slowly sliding down the pane. I stood up, slammed my hand against the window. "Lynn, are you crazy? What is wrong with you? Just go home." She didn't flinch. Her smile grew. She looked up, toward the sound of the upstairs floorboards. Then, she was gone. I called her mother, tried to explain what had been happening. At first, she was dismissive, but then she said something I'll never forget. "If you're truly concerned, seek professional help." She hung up. I should have let it go, but something in her voice when she said, "professional help," it wasn't just suggestion, it was warning. Chris, my brother, agreed to go back to the house with me. We returned to the house in daylight, front door ajar. The whole house smelled like rot. Curtains drawn tight. No light inside. We searched each room. "Why are you checking under the couch?" Chris joked. I didn't laugh. We made it upstairs. Broken glass on the steps. One of our wedding portraits, smashed. The glass gone. The frame tilted. Just Lynn and me in that photo. Before. She looked beautiful. I never imagined her face could become a source of terror. I packed a bag, went into the closet, and found them. Dozens of eyeballs, laid out in pairs, tiny, marble-sized, some larger, blood still soaking the rug beneath them. I gagged. Chris turned pale. "Ben, we need to go." "I told you," I said. "She needs help." "She needs an exorcist," Chris muttered. Then we saw her, under the bed, curled on her side, watching us. Hands trembling under her chin like a child too excited to speak. That hiccuping sound, rising from her throat again. "Lynn." She didn't move, just bobbed her head. I took a step forward. "I love you. I just want to help." Another hiccup. She shook, and I saw the blood on her hands and the shard of glass she held. "Oh my God, you're bleeding." Before I could reach her, she struck, pain in my arm, blood spilled. Chris shouted behind me. She wasn't looking at me anymore. She was staring at him. Predator to prey. "Chris, run!" She scuttled out from under the bed like a spider, stood in the doorway, smiling wider than humanly possible. And then, she sprinted. I ran down the stairs. She leapt on my back, her mouth by my ear, those hiccuping giggles right in my head. I shoved her off, felt the glass slice my back, didn't stop. I ran. Chris was outside calling the cops. I drove, didn't stop, didn't breathe until the hospital stitched my wounds. That should have been the end. But it wasn't, because 40 minutes ago, I got a text from an unknown number. 3 words, "I found you." And a photo, grainy, dark, but clear enough. It was her eye, her smile, and I swear, I'm not alone anymore.